one of the most important things for me about being a leader has to be able to follow. A leader has to be able to follow. Some people have this thing, a negative thing about leaders or bosses. They have a negative thing and they want to be on the bottom, which is bad mindset stuff. If you want to be a leader, you got to be able to follow. You might be at a time when you're doing 90% following, 10% delegating. That's fine. Got to be able to follow, because you might have a vision you need to follow through. Yeah. You might have a follow through, but if you can follow other people and do what you're told, and put the vision first, then you'll be able to lead the company yourself. I believe there are some people that make great managers that weren't, but Jack Ma, he was an entrepreneur. He was working hard before he got there. Yeah. And on his way, he wasn't an arrogant leader. Jack and Elon, they were never arrogant leaders. They may appear to have some arrogance, but that arrogance that appeared was after they had made their millions and they proved their worth, because they proved their worth and they kind of said to anyone that thought they were arrogant, and they were just focusing on their vision and mission. So being focused on their vision, it was kind of like, well, you can buy a Tesla and get a "We're going to Mars" sticker and buy into my vision, and I love that. And if you don't like Tesla, doesn't matter. Being liked isn't a high priority for any of them. I'm going to start with what's the difference between a worker and a boss. What's the difference between a worker and a boss?
Is the boss a leader or it's just a boss?
Yeah. The boss could be a leader and the boss could be a manager. But the boss, what I'm kind of getting at is boss and leader. Sorry, no. Sorry. Boss and a worker, just a worker. Someone has got a job and someone is a boss. What's the difference there?
Boss pays the money.
Boss pays the money. Different levels of boss. Maybe the boss does pay the money. Maybe it's a boss of a small business, but a lot of people call a boss someone who's not necessarily the top of the company, but a boss has delegates. A boss has people they have to lead generally.
Let me chip in. Finally, I got my audio sorted.
Yeah.
Okay, so to answer this question, I think boss has different level of responsibility.
Different level of responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, the boss has his own targets at work, and many times he's using other people as a team to get his goals.
Using other people.
Like using other people's manpower and production to hit his goal. Because, okay, if we don't talk about a business owner, many times they still have bosses, maybe the shareholders, maybe the big board of directors or something. So usually the bosses, they have sort of targets to meet or to exceed or something like this.
But the manager, the leader, the employee, they have targets too.
That's true.
But one thing I like is the previous point is The increased responsibility. The increased responsibility. And the boss is getting leverage. He's got more leverage. And this is something everyone can use to get more money and get promoted. Increased leverage. Increased leverage. So the boss has all this manpower to hit his targets. The employee or the worker has generally their hands and maybe their brain, maybe nowadays a computer, right? But the boss has the leverage of so many more people, right? And the manager and the leader, they have that leverage as well. That leverage, that power. And just for those that don't quite fully get it, let's say leverage, English word. You might have that's a bad example. I should have had a stick. See my Qigong stick there. If you have a boulder, and you put a stick under the boulder and you wedge this, you might be able to push the boulder a little bit. Or if you ever get a flat tire in your car, you use a jack. Now, jack's a small device, but by this leverage, slowly the car gets higher, and it's the leverage. It's the leverage that allows this little device and a little woman or a little old man to push up an entire car. It's all in leverage. Difference between the boss and the employers, increased responsibility, increased leverage. And the good thing is there are many different ways to get leverage. Many different ways to get leverage. Abby, you still there? And I'm just going to get Abby. You want to throw in your thing, Abby?
I think I agree with what Adam said, but I wanted to understand the question. You said a boss and a worker, right?
Yep, or a boss and an employee. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So from my perspective, I wanted to say that a boss can also be an employee. Depends on what. Yeah. So a boss is also an employee, and an employee can be a boss. Yeah.
Yeah, we often forget that, hey. We often forget that the boss above us, has their own boss and has their own goals and has their own targets and has their own kids in life, and maybe our boss is being squeezed.
Exactly.
But the higher up the chain we go, like the higher up the work pyramid to the top, more and more leverage, more and more responsibility.
Yes.
But do you know who makes 10 times the CEO of Coca-Cola? Anyone know who makes precisely 10 times the amount of money than the CEO of Coca-Cola?
The
Yeah, of course.
shareholder.
Elon Musk and all that, yeah.
Okay.
The-
Okay.
Buffett.
Warren Buffett earns roughly 10 times more than the CEO of Coca-Cola from his Coca-Cola shares. From his Coca-Cola shares alone, Warren Buffett makes more than the CEO. It's the leverage Warren Buffett has. So even when you get to the top of Coca-Cola, the very top of Coca-Cola, the CEO, the shareholders. Yeah, and one particular shareholder, Warren Buffett, because of his percentage, earns more than the CEO. Now, does Warren Buffett work harder than the CEO of Coca-Cola? Well, it depends. What does work even mean? We've all got 24 hours in a day, but Warren Buffett is here making millions. You're making millions from Coca-Cola. Meanwhile, the CEO and the people on the different levels and the person down on the street selling Coca-Cola or filling up machines full of Coca-Cola earn a fraction the amount that Warren Buffett makes. Leverage. It's all leverage. The boss, the manager, the leader, they have a lot more leverage than your average employee. Now, I want to hear from you guys. what kind of leverage can you get? What
Uh,
kinds of leverage?
the boss has more visibility on what needs to be done, can be done, and can reshuffle and play with his, like a puzzle, I would say. Play with whatever needs to be done by whom in the team.
So having a team is more leverage.
Mhm.
Having a team is more leverage, yeah. And you said visibility. So having more visibility can give you more leverage.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro. I completely agree. Can someone else? What else can give you leverage?
I think another point is in the company is official legal power authorizations directly leverage for the boss can use it. They have the power and can decide promotion or demotion and how much money you get it. So how much bonus you could get it. It's a very powerful tool.
Yeah. Okay. And question, what about you over in Germany with the Chinese? Does speaking Mandarin give you any advantage in your position now in Germany?
No, we speak English, mostly in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful client. She got promoted. She went from Hong Kong over to Cologne, multinational company, promotion. And one thing that helped her get the promotion was her language.
It could be.
Was her language. Because the headquarters in Germany wanted her over in Germany so they can help her in Germany do business back to China. So her nationality and her putonghua helped her, leverage up and then get this wonderful job in Cologne.
That is a fantastic point. Exactly, that's true.
So now the Hong Kong girl is in Cologne working for a German company, hiring an Australian coach to help her fit in. One thing where she was struggling is she wasn't getting the leverage. She was struggling with the team. So having a team can give you leverage. But what are some more examples of leverage?
I would say knowledge.
Knowledge. Yep. Knowledge. Got to be relevant knowledge. Now, Jolie's over in Germany and maybe they don't value her Mandarin. It can still give her leverage. But some knowledge can give you more.
Relationship, let's say, is a long, trustful, mutual relationship. It also can be leverage somehow.
Yeah. Can relationships be leverage? Some relationships are obviously going to give you more leverage. I know the owner, or I'm married to the boss's wife, kind of thing. Jay, what else leverage?
I was going to suggest one about the your personality and your ability to have rapport with people. So if you're a person who can communicate effectively and show that you've got an ability to communicate well to a group of people, that would sort of give you a bit of leverage in getting a higher position. So there's leverage in different levels.
Right on. And what else can give you leverage? Actually, sorry, can I chunk down? And by chunk down, I mean get a bit more specific. Jay, when you said personality, what in your personality, your personalities, what personality traits can help you get more leverage?
One that is affable, I say, I've just used myself, and non-confrontational. Affable, and
Likeable?
not being, likeable, non-confrontational, so that if you have people and they see you willing to listen to them and develop what we say a rapport, then that to me is a skill level that's helping to show that you can actually work with people in a team.
Okay, and someone that hasn't spoken yet, what are a couple of other personality traits or qualities or characteristics that can help you get leverage? There's a couple of brilliant ones I haven't heard yet.
So to add to what Jay said, I think your ability to, your credibility counts. Yes. Credibility. Yes. And
Credibility,
also,
experience. No one said experience.
yes, experience, exactly. Experience, credibility, your ability to, people know you. Okay, when he sets this target, he's able to do it and even do it beyond our expectations. So all this can give you the leverage, yes.
Going
And
the
also
extra mile.
having access to key informations, because information is really, it's really a powerful tool. So if you are a person that has access to key information, then I think it can also give you a leverage. Yeah.
And that key information can come from one of the first points, visibility. Yeah. Visibility,
Yeah.
knowledge,
Yeah.
scope. If you're affable, maybe you or likable. This is funny because, you know, I do some speaker training sometimes, and sometimes they're like, use big words. But we have such a multinational or a multilingual audience. I like to use nice and simple words. Likeable, affable, likable. So being likable, affable, having relationships, that might give us access to people to have relationships to get more information. So relationships, knowledge, all this stuff gives us more leadership, more leverage. But there's a key personality trait, going the extra mile, discipline. How good would a boss, manager, or leader be if they sucked at discipline? If you want to get promoted or be more successful, we need discipline. But discipline isn't like a monster. It isn't like a mountain that we got to go from here to here in one go. Discipline is simply a matter of tiny habits stacked on top of each other. Discipline is just small habits stacked on top of each other. My kids make their bed every morning. It's not discipline. It's just a little habit. It started with just pulling over the bed sheets. They did that 7-8 days in a row, and every time they did it, they got a little bit of tech or their favorite food. Yeah. After 14 days of making their bed, I add the next little bit. All the clothes off the floor. Yeah. The next little bit, making sure the towels are up. The next little bit, once a week, we vacuum. So it's just little habits on top of each other. And now if someone sees my kids, they're going to go, wow, the kids are so disciplined. They're just kids. Brilliant kids too. Little habits stacked on top of each other. Discipline. So if anyone wants to develop discipline, it's just a matter of developing the meta skill of installing habits. Meta skill. Like meta being higher level is a meta skill. Being able to create and make habits stick is one of the key meta skills. It doesn't matter what you do in life. Being able to create your own habits leads to more success, health, wealth, love, wherever you want to focus. There was a guy at school who was a kind of a dropout, a flunk. He fell into the swimming, not fell in the swimming pool, but he fell into swimming, and he loved swimming, and he became a swimmer. And despite being a swimmer, he spent more time out of the pool next to the swimming coach, having like time out. But after a couple of years, that boy became the top swimmer in the club. Despite him having so much trouble at school, he was so disciplined with his swimming. Yeah. That guy is Michael Phelps. He's won more Olympic medals than any other athlete in the world. People say that guy has discipline, but he was a troublemaker at school. One more trait I haven't heard yet. Have a guess. What are a couple of other traits that help you get leverage?
Hard work.
Hard work. And by the way, I think everyone prefers easy work. But sometimes the hard work becomes easier and we do it. So if we have an easy job and a hard job, we'll choose the easy job.
True.
For me, going to McDonald's or KFC is actually hard work. It is hard work for me to go to McDonald's now. Yeah. Something happened the other day and I tried to go into McDonald's to get a coffee and I walked into McDonald's and I went, I can't do it. I can't do it. I used the bathroom and left. Going to McDonald's for me is hard work. Going to an Indian place, having healthy food is easy work. But when I started, McDonald's was easy. Now McDonald's is hard. Yeah. So the discipline and creating and becoming the person we want, it may seem like hard work, but if we stick to it for a little bit, it actually becomes easy work. Easy work. It's easier for me to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning than it is to get up at 8. It's easier for me to get up at 7 than it is to get up at 9. Getting up at 9 o'clock for me is hard work. Yeah, it's hard work for me to get up at 9 o'clock. It's actually really hard because for so many years I've been waking up at 7, maybe 6, 7. Yeah. So what seems like hard work can actually become easier work.
Yeah.
But it's really good to know that people will choose the easier path. And even if the easier path, like going to eat healthy food instead of McDonald's, even though it might seem, oh no, McDonald's is really easy. It takes hard work to eat healthy food all the time. Well, for me, it's not. Yeah. So if you're giving work or delegating work or your own life, keep that in the back of your mind. People will pick the easiest path. Sometimes for those wanting to get promoted, sometimes we have to make the easier work them promoting me is the easiest path. So if you make it so your boss thinks that you're the easiest person to promote, you'll get promoted first. If you're the hardest person to promote, you won't get promoted. It's actually kind of simple once we really get it. If you want to get promoted, make it so easy for them to promote you. Be careful. If you want to make it hard for them to keep you where you are, you might get promoted or you might get kicked out. You don't really want that. Hey, there's one or two other personality traits. One specific personality trait I'm looking to hear at. What other personality traits give you leverage?
I'm going to try integrity.
Integrity.
Yeah.
Yep. That's one. Yep. It's not the one I'm after, but yeah. And the integrity, if you say you do it, do it. What else? What other?
It may be something very strange to say, but how should I say some?
If you pitch back, then you come again. The resilience is quite important.
Hi, thanks, Charlie. Resilience. Sorry, Adam, what was the word?
I wanted to say something not so mainstream information, some dark personality trait that can also be beneficial at the workplace, but usually it's not promoted like something good, but sometimes the people, for example, how should I say, they used to say talk about this dark triad, people who have sort of narcissistic, a little psychopathic sort of tendencies. For example, they don't vary too much. They don't have sleepless nights if they need to fire like 20 people or something like this. So that can actually benefit their workplace. How should I say? It can benefit their work because they can get things done without complicating it to themselves, although I'm pretty sure this is not what you had in mind.
It's not, but it's a good point. Thank you for mentioning that. Sometimes you got to fire someone. And this is the tough decisions that bosses have to make. Bosses put what's higher up the pyramid first, not what's lower. when you're in a pyramid of a company, you got to put what's above is priority, not what's below. There's a lot of people that really care about their team. They really care about their subordinates. And I think that's great. To be able to fire your staff, to be able to kick someone up the bum, bit of a skill. It takes a bit of an a-hole perhaps, but the boss says that's how we get to the top. It's not necessarily being ruthless, but sometimes in some positions, especially like politics or higher up the chain, being a bit ruthless can be really important. I don't like that idea, but I can fire people at the drop of a hat. I can kick people up the ass, drop of a hat, no worries. I have boundaries. But you can also let people go without being harsh. And you can care about people and make big impact. We're not going to cover that bit of the delegation. Hey, one more personality trait. I still haven't heard the one I'm looking for. And does anybody here happen to do yoga? Okay, that was just a little clue for my personality trait. What's yoga got to do with being a boss or leverage? Laser focus, Jay, great. And what else has maybe a yogi have? There's a personality in here. Is a very important personality trait.
I was thinking about flexibility, but maybe that's not what you mean. Is that?
Flexibility. 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 It might seem funny, but people that do yoga, they say it's not what you learn touching your toes. It's what you learn on the way down. So yoga isn't about getting to the final position and touching your toes. It's a matter of going further and further and further, committing to the process, being flexible, being consistent, etc., etc. But now flexibility, there's two main types of flexibility that we train in: emotional flexibility and behavioral flexibility. Emotional flexibility refers to our inner world. Our outer world, behavioral flexibility. And this is important for manager and leader, because when it comes to managers and leaders, studies have shown that despite there being a great number of leaders and a great number of managers, there's a very small number of people that can do both. You very rarely get a great leader and manager. Very rarely. If you wanted to be good at both, flexibility. Because the qualities of a manager and the qualities of an effective leader are different. They all have the discipline, relationship skills, the ability to fire someone. But there's a couple of distinctions between manager and leader. And if you have to do both, then there's times when you're going to have to be fully present, looking at the ground, being aware of what's happening now, and then perhaps at the same time or a moment later, have to be a leader and be looking out with your head in the clouds, looking at the future. Now, some leaders are constantly up here looking out, and some managers are on the ground doing a great job on the ground. But if you have to change roles, yeah, or be in a position where you got to do both, requires a large amount of flexibility. And the reason I like to share flexibility is where can flexibility, emotional or behavioral flexibility, where can it help you? Where could more flexibility help you?
I think behavioral.
Sorry, Abby?
Behavioral.
So I call emotional flexibility, emotional being the inside, and part of emotional flexibility is like, oh, I don't want to do that job, but I'm going to do it anyway. I don't really want to do it, but I'll make myself happy to do it. You know, we manipulate our emotions a little bit. Like, I don't like that person, but I want to get the job done because I want to get out in the weekend. Okay, I'll do it, you know. So we have our emotional world inside. Sometimes people get angry, and if they have emotional flexibility, maybe they can let it out calmly, peacefully, work on it, you know. But if people don't have the emotional flexibility, when they have anger inside, if they don't have the emotional flexibility to deal with it, it ends up coming on the outside as behavior or yelling, and it can ruin their chances. So the emotional and behavioral flexibility is so important. But at the moment, we're thinking about emotional behavioral flexibility in the workplace. Where else? Where else could flexibility help you? Where else could flexibility help you? Any takers? Come on, have a guess.
Like you always hold some backup plans in your hands. If you have flexibility, opportunities.
Yeah. Can help you take advantage of opportunities. Because if you're not flexible, you can really only take opportunities that set up and are perfect for you. The more flexible you are, the more opportunities you can take. The more you can pursue. Yeah. If you're a share trader and you trade shares and you can only trade shares, there's so much you can do. But if you can profit on shares going up and down, you get a bit more. But if you can be flexible enough to go into other types of investments, more flexibility, yeah. An investor should be able to go into a range of different investments to profit over any conditions, right? So they have a lot more flexibility. So opportunities, money making, flexibility. What about, at last, Abby, relationships with yourself. Flexibility helps you with yourself. Flexibility helps you with others. Crying kid, crying partner, friends, mum and dad, they're still around, parents, family, relationships, dating, love, fun. Flexibility helps us with everything. Who would like more flexibility? Hi. Little task for you, and I'd like to suggest you do this a little bit later. Write out how many things you're flexible with or flexible at. Like, I'm flexible at work, or I'm flexible with this person, I'm flexible with that person, I'm flexible with my body, I'm flexible with my diet, I'm flexible with my friends. And write out a list. And I would like to say, give yourself 10, 20 minutes. Right on, Vicky. Everything is it. Everything. If you want, so you just write out a list of what you're flexible with and keep going. Keep going. Keep writing out the list. If you get 5 things written out, how flexible are you going to be? If you get 50 things written out, how flexible are you going to be? So simply writing out the things you do, and if you can get all the way to 50, you're going to be more flexible. if you like to continue it, you can write that list every day for a week. And what will happen is, what do you think will happen? You get down to 50 or you get down to the bottom of the page and you're done. You're like, I really am flexible. Now, the thing is a lot of people do that. They get to the bottom and then they stop. And the next day they don't do it again because they're flexible. But what you want to do is you want to do it 7 days in a row or 21 days if you really want to go further. But you write down all the things. So you fill a whole page, right? Takes 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, but you write the whole list down, right? You can do this for discipline if you want, but you write out all the things you're flexible with. And then what will happen is at the end of that writing, you'll be saying to yourself, damn, I really am flexible. And you have the proof. You have the evidence right in front of you. The next days, it gets reinforced and reinforced. And your flexibility increases. So as you increase your flexibility, you increase your ability to handle responsibility. With more responsibility, flexibility, you're getting more and more leverage. More and more leverage, pay rise, happier life, happier wife, happier everything. Grow those personality traits, flexibility, discipline, integrity. And you notice Abby's comment there. I just realized it's not difficult to even write. It's not difficult to write 5 no. And once you get to, if you get to 20 or 50, you'll be going, yes, I am flexible. And that, yes, I am flexible. Yes, I am flexible. That, yes, I am flexible, actually makes you more flexible. The saying, yes, I am flexible, makes you more flexible. If you go, I'm not really flexible, that makes you less flexible. It's a self-confirming belief or a self-fulfilling prophecy. Personality is like that. Personality is largely self-fulfilling. What we think in our personality, if we think we're honest, we'll be honest. If we think we're disciplined, we'll be disciplined. Well, if we think we're disciplined, we're not necessarily disciplined. We got to have complete, like, yes, I am disciplined. Yeah. And if we believe, yes, we are, it's like the placebo effect. We're more likely to have it the more we can believe it and say it. So anyone that says they're not flexible, make a longer list. Now, what I'd love to do is I'd love to break you guys out. You guys cool to do a quick little Zoom room? Well, not quick. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 little Zoom rooms. I'm just going to do 2 rooms, about 6 people each room. Now, we're going to go out to a break room and we're going to spend 7 minutes, 7 minutes in the break room. Seven minutes in breakout room. What have you learned so far? What will you do differently? I'm just going to make up a couple of rooms at each. Frank, there's your leader. Cool. Okay. Is that clear? So the first breakout room, we'll have another one. When we come back, we'll do manager and leader. And then we'll do another 7-minute breakout room. So the first 7-minute breakout room, I just want you guys to discuss what have you learned so far? What will you do differently? What sticks? What sticks? As in, what have you actually... Okay, that's good. I'm going to take that away. Yep, that's good. I'm going to take that away. And then 7 minutes, we'll be back here and we'll do boss leader. Okay. Half of you will see a join room button. Now, just a minute. A couple of people will find themselves staying here, and some people will find themselves going straight to the other room. Okay, it's happening. They're moving to the other room. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the other room, and 4 here. Great.
Going to close that screen. Well done. That's really good.
Just
I just wanted
yeah,
wanted
just
to
a very
pose a
last
question.
sentence. You're already flexible. You want to be more flexible.
Flexible.
Sorry, Jake.
Yeah. Yeah. The thought came to me was from discussion with the ladies is, what is the personality trait that allows you to be flexible? It was just interesting discussion. We didn't get to have it. So I just had that question.
Yeah,
I think
openness.
self-awareness is the first step to change anything, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Because I'm really intrigued. And I thought
I
about
take
this.
it, take it as an openness. You are really curiosity and open is kind of like from Big Five, and openness and really like to drive you or enable you be flexible. Sometimes you're quite open for any kind of possibilities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I just had this idea, and I'm looking forward. I'm taking over, Adrian. But think about that. For you to be flexible, how do you feel you really? What are the traits you need to have? I'm going to throw one in there. Self-confidence. So if you're confident with yourself, then you're usually happy, in my opinion, to be flexible, to work with others. And I think there's quite a few others.
Empathetic, be having an empathy for understanding other person's perspective, then only you will be okay, this is the right thing to be flexible here.
Yeah, nice. So it's a...
I like where you went, Jay. What happens before flexibility? Like, what do we need so we can be more flexible? And I love what Abby said as well about awareness. We can change without awareness, but really awareness is key, right? Key. Awareness is one of those meta skills or meta things that comes first, you know. It's great to get in it's great to have the meta skill of stacking habits, but we need the awareness first of what habits to stack, etc., etc. So the awareness, and that's why I love people coming here, because each week we're having different people share and think, because we're raising awareness, and from that raising awareness comes everything else. A couple other meta skills there: learning how to learn. Learning how to learn, learning from mistakes, learning from experiences, as Jay called it. We taught a model about learning from mistakes. Learning from mistakes is very valuable, right? Because, well, what's even more valuable is learning from other people's mistakes. Yeah, if you want to make a big business, you want to learn from other people's mistakes before you make them. But if you do make mistakes, we want to learn the first time. Yet a lot of people make mistakes over and over and over again. So a little process we teach is when we make a mistake or we have an experience, is to look back, and at the time when I was making that mistake, what was I thinking? What was I believing? And we look at the beliefs and the thinking before the mistake was made. Now, once we do that process a few times, it becomes more automatic. For any parents in the house, that is a fantastic process to teach your kids, and it's so much more effective than a timeout or any kind of punishment. When the kids or an employee, and I just gave this to a boss on Thursday, which is why it's still fresh in my head. I walked a multi-millionaire through the process, and I gave him the form as well so he can put it up. He's putting it up in the office. So when his accountants and his staff make problems, he directs them to that process. So when they make a mistake, they go to the wall, they see the process, and they work through the process. What was happening at the time? What was I thinking? What was I believing? And in that, there's a couple of things that call it cause and effect. A makes B happen, or a complex equivalence, A equals B, as in bad meanings. So the staff look at the underlying beliefs and assumptions that made the error, and they fix it there at the really root, not fixing the symptom. Kind of like Western science, Western medical system versus traditional Eastern medicine system. One's all about the symptom, one's the root. So we get to the root of the system. And now once we learn that and do it a few times, it really helps people rock. But anyway, that's part of the NLP stuff you hear us talking about, upgrading the mindset. Now let's jump into the manager and leader if we can. As I led on earlier on, one of the key distinctions, the manager is present. The manager is on the ground. Anyone familiar with the Myers-Briggs personality assessment? We got a couple people in the house. Most people know the Myers-Briggs at the start of it, introvert, extrovert. Yeah. Second part is intuitive or sensing. Intuitive or sensory. The sensory is the manager. The sensory is on the ground and they know what's happening now. It's like an animal or a man that's on the ground. He knows what he has. He knows the resources. He knows the people. The intuitive person is the leader. They have their head in the clouds, or they're more like an eagle looking way out into the future. CEOs are generally more of the leader because they have to look out. Yeah, looking out into the future, seeing things in the future, and they hire a really good manager. Yeah. Visionary, looking out into the future, grounded, sensing what's happening now. Warren Buffett is more of this. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, much more up here. Elon Musk sucks at managing staff. He's not very good with interpersonal skills. Yeah. Now, Warren Buffett and the good managers, on the other hand, yeah. Anyone disagree with that? Now, what can you add to that? What else makes the manager? What else makes the good manager? So on the ground.
Quick ability to make decisions quickly.
Based on what's on the ground here. Not decisions to the future of the company.
No, the here and now.
Decisions regarding what's happening here now. Firing someone. Maybe. Yeah. Evaluating the resources to make decisions here. Decisions in the present.
Yeah.
What else? What else is more manager than leader? I see Estrelita there being organized. Who has to be more organized? Leader, visionary, or manager on the ground? I think the manager on the ground's got to be more organized. Really good organizational skills here. Because the leader can hire this guy. Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, they hire the great managers. Now, a lot of people want to be a great leader. If you want to be a great leader, wonderful. But if your personality trait is managing, it's on the ground, sensing people, relationships, maybe you're better off, yeah? You want to be where you're best at. If you have a personality profile, some people would say like the managers are like ISTJs, introvert, sensory, thinking, bit of feeling as well, but more thinking, and J, judging rather than the P, perceiving. Perceivers like a lot of options. Judges are more procedures and stuff. But we won't get that far into it. What else makes a good manager? What else is a fine distinction between manager and leader? Might say push. Can push people. Bit more of a pushing approach. This is a procedure. This is what has to be done. Leader, on the other hand, is a bit more of a pull approach. They have a great goal and they're inspiring people. It's more attraction. People get enthralled by their vision. And it's like people get pulled in to make their empire. People get pulled in. Does anyone ever get pushed to buy a Tesla? No one feels pushed to buy a Tesla. I got a few Teslas in the street and they're all attracted. They're all pulled. They all got pulled in. Half the Teslas in my, not half, a fair few of the Teslas in my street, they have like SpaceX. You know, they don't just buy the Tesla. They're like, SpaceX, we're going to Mars. Yeah. These people are not pushing that. They're pulled into it. They're like, they're sucked into the vision, right? So it's a pull. The manager often has to push procedures out there, push, delegate, push, delegate, pull, attract, pull people in, pull in, share. You can't go to investors and say, investors, give me money now. You got to pull that in. You got to lure them in. Leaders may be pulling in key stakeholders, attraction. Yeah. Might listen and engage and inspire people. But the manager, on the other hand, he might have to kick their ass. You know, he might have to, you know, push them, tell them, instruct them, delegate, right? Where the leader is more like empower, all these beautiful words. So a lot of people like to be a leader. A lot of people like to be a leader because in some ways it's sexy. You get to lead people, be at the front. But tell you what, they're both great. It's absolutely wonderful to manage. It's wonderful to lead. If you want to do both, what have we got to do? Be flexible. If we want to do both, we've got to be flexible. And you can actually be flexible and move. Question, who here knows a great manager? Who knows a great manager? Or maybe you can think about the best manager you ever had. Could I ask you, not Jay, because he's a great speaker, can someone else share with me who is a great manager that you've had and why were they a good manager?
I guess what according to my experience, I guess I think about his capabilities. He was aware of what we were doing, or aware of our work, and he always was curious to know about our strengths and weaknesses as well, and would team us up according to our strengths. And I liked that his way of like bonding teams, because we were able to I was given an opportunity to team up with each of the other team members on a kind of a task which we both had a common strengths, and he was so good at identifying those strengths in us. And other than that, I guess he was always curious to know what we are doing, and we felt that our work was valued. And I guess he kind of understood us, what motivated us, what inspired us. And I think those were really good qualities he had. Yeah.
Some of those qualities are also true for the leader, but you know, it sounds like he's really good with his team, with his people, knowing what's happening, very capable, switched on, knowing each other's strengths. Could I ask you, can you remember how he stands?
I guess he would stand with shoulders down, and like as I would say, as you are standing now, or probably very much similar. Yes.
That can be a good way to mentally or unconsciously turn on the resources we need. When you want to be a good manager, think of him. If you need help managing stuff, think of someone that's been a great manager, and then think about the way they stand. How do they breathe? How do they talk? And by shifting your attention to those traits, how they breathe, how they stand, you will find yourself potentially adopting their stance, their style, and then it'll easily flow through you. What about the leader? Has anyone got a remarkable leader? And I'm going to say, I'm not limited to the work, because maybe it's outside work. Where have you seen an amazing leader? And Jay, have you got one? If not,
Yeah, I could think of a couple.
Jolie, you just turned on your camera. Do you have a leader?
I think that you mentioned a lot of times about Elon Musk, but also I would say Jobs, who created the Apple, and Jack Ma, who created Alibaba.
Wait, let's go to Jack Ma. So what makes Jack Ma a great leader?
It's
He's
somehow
charismatic.
yeah, the inspiring is definitely one thing, but even after 20 or 30 years, still I think very crazy, you know. This is the major difference versus leaders and managers. So somehow manager cannot do this so crazy thing, but leaders can really build this vision and inspire people to do it and make it happen. So crazy things make it happen. And finally people say, okay, oh my God, they make it. But now if you go through all the entire history, you still say feeling and the person's really very, very crazy. Crazy guy.
Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Jack Ma, out of the box crazy.
Yeah.
Something out of the box. Manager.
Out of box
In
crazy.
the box.
Yeah.
What are the dimensions of our box? How many people we fit in the box? Who's in the box? What resources have you got in the box? Jack Ma. Where's the box?
That's true.
So how does Jack Ma talk? How does he stand? How does he breathe?
I mean, for this point, I have to highlight, you know, for this normal, very general commercial world, Jack Ma is not have directly charming leader you can see, but only when he's talking, then you feel, oh my God, this guy have something. It's not like you can see it, but people, when they're talking, the idea can sharing in the very special communication way, then you feel, oh my God, this guy crazy, and somehow people will ready to follow whatever he want.
I was in the last time I was in Shanghai. I was at a pitch night. For those that haven't been to a pitch night, you go to check it out. So the pitch night, I think this might have been a bit more of an exclusive pitch night, but we had a bunch of companies and their leaders or the CEOs came and they pitched, as in, hi, this is our company. We are doing this. We are like Duolingo, but we are different. This is what we do, you know. And these guys came on stage and they did their best job being charismatic, being leader and selling their job. And it was funny because some of them were definitely managers, but being able to see these guys pitch on stage and see their charisma, see their vision, see how crazy they could get was so sensational. One particular gentleman, his name's Lucas. He's on my, there's two Lucas CEOs on my profile. I've got two of them. But this particular Lucas, Omniaz, was based out of Singapore, amazing technology. They're implementing AI and AR together. And they've been doing this for 5-6 years. The other Lucas on my profile, he's got a big AI company in Australia. It's my cousin who I might get to coach occasionally. And both of them are actually kind of grounded and down to earth. But while they're down here, they are up there. Their head is in the clouds. They can be slower. They can deal with things, but their natural pace, they start to get excited and passionate, and next thing you know, you see that Elon Musk or the Steve Jobs or the Jack Ma coming out of them, and they get into this state of flow, and it's a bit faster, and they get excited, and they get whiteboard markers, and they start doing diagrams, and they get really into the vision and the excitement, and everyone watching them is like, wow, we want to get on board, we want to follow that. And that is what I believe is a true leader. They're getting excited about their vision and what they're going to accomplish, so it pulls people in. It pulls people in. And then we have the old boss with the whip going, do it or you get fired. Yeah. That old boss with the whip, that's olden days. We're not going to have much more of that. If we have a boss with a whip, unless they're like, is Adam still here? Unless they're using the dark magic, the dark personality stuff, the boss with the whip, we're going to be seeing less and less. And I think we are seeing a lot less of them today. There's a lot more managers coming in and a lot less of that black whip stuff. But you want to know what really makes my two Lucases, my two leaders, amazing? My two amazing Lucas leaders, they're real, by the way. Phenomenal guys. What makes them amazing? One of the things that makes them amazing is they both have an amazing manager in their life. Yeah. Actually, I think they both have two managers. Their wife manager. Yeah, because they both have amazing women in their life that help them stay grounded. And the grounding of the wife allows them to be up in their head in the clouds. Yeah. Now, one of those Lucases, his wife has actually exited a company successfully. So she's done an amazing job leading and growing a business. She's fully capable. But now she is like grounded and helping him. So by her being grounded, he's able to get his head in the clouds and do amazing things. Yeah. One of them has a COO who is a Swiss guy and they have their own. The other one, his partner is also the COO. So she's also the manager of the business. So in business and in personal life, she's a manager and he's a leader and visionary. So although we can do both, once we start going up and up, we'll be working in more and more our key area and less of both. You know, so Steve Jobs doesn't manage the company. Elon and Jack Ma don't manage the company. But there are times when Jack Ma was starting out, yeah, when Jack Ma was saying with Pony, they were doing both managing and leading. But as soon as they had the capability to put on a better manager, the manager allowed them to excel. One key thing I got, because I was in the military for 7-8 years. One of the most important things for me about being a leader has to be able to follow. A leader has to be able to follow. Some people have this thing, a negative thing about leaders or bosses. They have a negative thing and they want to be on the bottom, which is bad mindset stuff. If you want to be a leader, you got to be able to follow. You might be at a time when you're doing 90% following, 10% delegating. That's fine. Got to be able to follow, because you might have a vision you need to follow through. Yeah. You might have a follow through, but if you can follow other people and do what you're told, you know, and put the vision first, then you'll be able to lead the company yourself. I believe there are some people that made great managers that weren't. But Jack Ma, he was an entrepreneur. You know, he was working hard before he got there. Yeah. And on his way, he wasn't an arrogant leader. Jack and Elon, they were never arrogant leaders. They may appear to have some arrogance, but that arrogance that appeared was after they had made their millions and they proved their worth, because they proved their worth and they kind of said to anyone that thought they were arrogant, and they were just focusing on their vision and mission. So being focused on their vision, it was kind of like, well, you can buy a Tesla and get a "we're going to Mars" sticker and buy into my vision, and I love that. And if you don't like Tesla, doesn't matter. Being liked isn't a high priority for any of them.